Anna, it's nice to see you.
Hello, nice to see you.
Hey, are we seeing you at the poker table tonight?
I'm not sure yet. I think my parents have something going on, so.
Well, we'll miss you there. But did you get a chance to see the Punk the Capitol documentary?
I did. I watched that just a couple hours ago.
Oh, that's great. Well, why don't we give people a taste of it, show them the trailer, and then you and I will talk about it. So, Jason, hit it with the trailer.
People said you cannot do this here. You know, this is a radical kind of music and it can't happen in DC. But once it took root, it grew in ways that we could have never imagined.
Mr. President, Mr. Carter.
If DC seems like a town that punk shouldn't happen in, then maybe that's exactly where it should happen. And it did make us want to scream.
And if I ask her why, you'll arrest me.
A lot of ideas all came together and broke free from what could have been just a real kind of forward momentum of just rock and roll, and no time for that.
DC really turned it up a notch. And to the people that hated punk rock, hardcore punk rock became even more offensive.
Their value system is radically different from that of most Americans.
Because it's a government place. Every time there was a place that would form a scene, it would be quickly shut down.
We're outnumbered, we're disliked. All we have is our allegiance, this music. And when you have alliances like that, that stuff's forever.
Certain bands who got really huge referenced the DC punk scene as a core reason why they even existed. And you realize that it's a movement.
So I'm super excited about this one. The full title is Punk the Capitol, Building a Sound Movement. And it dropped on the internationalfilmseries.com website as a documentary you can watch from that website, our website. Today is Friday, May 14th, but we hope to have this for a few weeks. And this particular Z-Brief is not live, so sometime when you see this, go ahead and check out our website, especially if you like punk music, obviously. This documentary specifically focuses on the Washington, D.C. punk scene, and from the mid-'70s to early '80s. And you've got, there's quite a few talking heads in here, including people that you'll recognize from Henry Rollins, of course, Jello Biafra, although he's not from the Washington, D.C. punk scene, but he chimes in to give some sort of general reference notes. To me, the real standout is the Super 8 footage. And the scenes of the Bad Brains. It's just phenomenal. Myself, I grew up and watched bands like Fugazi, which is that's a time frame that sort of beyond the scope of this documentary. But for me, it was super interesting to see the roots of these different bands and to see how they were living and to see how they were cooperating. And there's just this great DIY punk ethos that made a lot of things happen. It kind of goes a little bit into the straight edge movement, and there's some cool fanzine art and there's posters. For me, it was just, I lapped it up. I was super, super excited to see it. What was it like for you, Anna? This is all, I don't even know if you like punk music.
Oh, I love punk music.
Great.
But what was interesting for me was that I think with my generation, we're familiar with the punk aesthetic, but not really the roots and the stories behind everything. So it was cool to, even though the focus was DC, get to know more about that in particular. So it was fun seeing the background behind a lot of these things, like, for example, how it talks about the X's on the back of a hand coming from that. I had no idea about that. And so
you mean like the how they co-opted the DC flag or elements of the DC flag to turn into a their own moniker, or were you talking about something?
Specifically how I think it was around the straight edge part of the documentary. They're talking about how they had X's on the back of their hand to indicate that they were part of that. And now that's kind of been translated into like marking underage people in bars and different venues that have alcohol. So I didn't know until documentary that was something that has stuck around in a different way today. Yeah. So just things like that were really fun. Again, I have to agree with the Super 8 footage and the different ways that they incorporated that was really fun to watch. So
yeah, it put a smile on my face. I have memories of seeing the Dead Kennedys here in Boulder at the Blue Note which used to be off of the Pearl Street Mall. And as I've mentioned many times, lead singer of the Dead Kennedys, Jello Biafra, we both went to Boulder High. He was like 10 years before me. But I remember seeing that show, and I think his dad was behind me, and we're all just sort of slugging beers. And but man, this documentary, Punk the Capitol, was just giving me that contact high of remembering what it was like to be in the mosh pits and just that sort of sweaty, just raw energy. I really can't recommend this one high enough. And it was directed by two directors, one of which was, I think he was like 12 years old in Washington, D.C. during the time of when this was all going down. So clearly, kind of something that he knows. He knows the location. He knows the terrain. He knows that of which he speaks and what he's covering. Just a lot of fun. So I would certainly give it the two big enthusiastic thumbs up. So glad that you connected with it. I didn't realize that you were into punk. I'll have to. Did you? Because are you a Fugazi fan by any chance, or?
Maybe by sound, but I don't know the name super well.
Okay. Anyway, they were one of my faves as well. So I'll hook you up. I'll tell you this, watching this documentary, you're going to want to go back and maybe start surfing YouTube to go a little bit deeper into the catalog of some of these bands. One of the things that does get mentioned by Henry Rollins is how stunned he was that there were all these, like the Enzymes, for example, how not a single recording exists.
Yeah.
And so it kind of touches on another subject that is kind of near and dear to both of our hearts, which is archiving. Mm-hmm. Archiving. Save your shit. I mean, all this stuff about people who are just like, oh, it's in the cloud. Everything's in the cloud. No, the cloud is nothing but a bunch of computers strung together. And if it never gets uploaded, then, and even when it does, it's just, thankfully, a lot of people during that scene captured the moments. They were, they had their Super 8 cameras, or they were writing about it in their zines. And so this doc just does a phenomenal job of putting that all together. Check it out. Punk the Capitol. And to remind people, the distributors are really doing us a solid here because they share 50% of the profits with us when you click on it from our website. And I'm really excited to report, of course, that with the latest news from the CDC as well as from the CU Boulder campus, it looks pretty good for us coming back in the fall to present shows in Munsinger as part of a fall program. So I am really excited about that. And in the meantime, though, we hope you can enjoy some of the things we're still offering virtually through the website. And I don't know, we'll cover something else next week, I suppose. Right, Anna?
Absolutely.
Cool. Thanks for joining. We'll talk more later.
Thank you. All right.
Ciao.
Ciao.